Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, April the 21st. Once again, got a 3-game slate for today, so we're going to go through, talk through each one of these 3 games, break down each team, kind of give my early thoughts, what I do like, taking a first look at this slate on Wednesday night, and then as we do go through each game, we will build out an early core. We'll just talk about 5 players that do stand out to me at first look on both Draftkings and on Yahoo. Now, as always, guys, before we get started with the breakdown, make sure you hit that like button down below. I do always appreciate the likes. If you're new to the channel and you have not yet, click that subscribe button as well. Did just hit 26,000 subscribers. I think yesterday we hit 26,000 subscribers. So really appreciate all you guys checking out these videos, hitting that subscribe button. Definitely means a lot to me, and I really appreciate all you guys' support. So thank you so much for everyone that has subscribed, and if you have not, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. I do upload these NBA videos every single day. I'm going to be covering, these NBA slates basically every single day up until the end of the season, up until the end of the NBA Finals. I'm going to be breaking down NBA every day for you guys. So definitely hit that subscribe button. Also, if you are new, check out the sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. So Prize Picks is a player prop based DFS site. It's very simple. You're just picking the over or the under on players' projections. It's a little bit different than DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo. You're not necessarily building out a lineup, competing against other people. It's you versus their projections. So you take a look at their board, you see the projections they have for each player, and if you have a lean one way or the other, over or under, you make your selections. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks, and you can win up to 10x your money on Prize Picks. It's a lot of fun. I know a lot of you guys already play on Prize Picks, but if you're new and you have not signed up over there, definitely get signed up for Prize Picks. Use promo code NOAH. When you do, they'll match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And as always, I will have a couple of my favorite plays. I'll give out a couple of my favorite plays today for Prize Picks. I'll post that video probably an hour or 2 after this video goes up. So after you watch this video, check my channel. My Prize Picks video will probably be posted, and you can take a look at some of my favorite plays, what I'm liking for this Prize Picks slate for today. But let's go ahead and talk through things. Start off with the first game of the night, Memphis and Minnesota. So we got game 3 of this series, tied 1-1, heading over to Minnesota now. So you're starting off with Memphis since they're the road team. You got Ja Morant at the top for 9,800, who I think is one of the better pay-up options on the slate. We're going to have to wait for news on Luka because we could be getting Luka back today. Right now, he is questionable. Obviously, if Luka plays, he's going to be someone worth considering. You have Jokic on the slate, who obviously is always in play. But I've been saying it like every slate on the playoffs. It's really hard to find value. You can't really go stars and scrubs on these playoff slates. It just doesn't work. There isn't enough value to make it work. So it's kind of, not paying the top premium price tag for guys like, Jokic and Luka is something that I've kind of been doing. Like, I haven't really been spending all the way up for the top studs just because it's been tough to do. I've been going down towards, the mid-range, kind of building more balanced. I think Ja Morant looks like, a good pay-up option. He's not as expensive as Luka or Jokic, and he has the upside that those two guys have. Now, obviously, the first 2 games in this series, Ja wasn't fantastic by any means. 51 DK points, 52 DK points. We're obviously looking for more from him than that. But last game he didn't play his full minutes. He got pulled because it was a blowout. I would expect this game to stay close, especially since it's being played in Minnesota. I think we do get a close game here. I think we get 36 to 40 minutes from Ja, and obviously in the playoffs, Ja should have a massive usage rate. I think at 9,800, he's probably my favorite pay-up option on the slate. I definitely like him on both sites. He's affordable on Yahoo. Not as expensive as guys like Jokic and Luka. Jokic is $58, Luka's $55, whereas Ja is only $43. You're getting a big discount there. So I do like Ja on Yahoo as well. I'm at $43. And then the rest of Memphis, Triple J is someone I kind of have some interest in. So Triple J, first 2 games in this series, his minutes have not been super high because he's just been in foul trouble, which is something that happens a lot. Jaren Jackson Jr. gets in foul trouble all the time. He had 5 fouls in game 1. He had 4 fouls in game 2. He also lost some minutes last game due to blowout. And it is worth noting that the Grizzlies have kind of gone away from Steven Adams. They've been kind of going small, playing Triple J at the 5. They were playing Brandon Clark at center. Xavier Tillman even got minutes last game. I think that's good for Triple J. I think this matchup sets up well for him. He's a quick, athletic big that can defend Karl-Anthony Towns. Obviously, the foul trouble is always a concern for Jaren Jackson Jr. He's a guy that just can get in foul trouble every night. But when he does stay out of foul trouble, he has a lot of upside. He's a really good point-per-minute player. He can score. He can rebound. He's a great shot blocker. 6,300 is not that expensive for him. If he plays 30 minutes here, which I think is what he'll play if he stays out of foul trouble, he's got big-time upside and can easily pay off this price tag. Obviously, there's always risk rostering Triple J because of the foul trouble, but I like him on the slate. I think he does stand out as a pretty good option. He's only $26 on Yahoo, so he's very affordable over there as well. I like him on both sides. I think he's a very solid option on both sides today. Even Desmond Bane at 6'2", I don't mind. First 2 games in this series, Bane has not been great, but we know Bane offers plenty of upside. He can obviously get hot from 3. He's a really good shooter. This should be a fairly fast-paced game. Should be a high-scoring game as well. Both these teams, in terms of pace, have been towards the top of the league in pace this season, so I'm fine going to Desmond Bane. I'm fine with Dylan Brooks. Brandon Clark, I do like quite a bit. His minutes have been really solid in this series. He played 27 minutes in Game 1. He played 21 minutes last game, but he was also in foul trouble last game. He had 4 fouls, did lose some minutes last game due to foul trouble. And like I said, I don't know how much Steven Adams is really going to play in this series. Steven Adams literally played 2 minutes last game. He picked up 2 fouls, and he never subbed back in. And I don't think he was hurt or anything. I think Memphis just chose to go away from Steven Adams. So, does Brandon Clark start over Steven Adams today? It's a possibility. I doubt that happens, but I think Clark sets up better in this matchup, in this series, and I think his minutes are going to be pretty good, even if he comes off the bench still. He's fairly cheap, too. He has good point-per-minute upside. He's a guy that can be productive when he gets minutes, and I think the minutes are going to continue to be there. Like I said, I just don't know how much Memphis really wants to play Steven Adams right now. He only played 24 minutes in Game 1. Like I said, he played 3 minutes last game, 2 minutes, and he subbed out, never came back in, so I like Brandon Clark as a value option. Value is always tough to find on these playoff slates, but he does stand out as a cheap play that offers some upside, especially if the minutes continue to be there. He's really cheap on Yahoo, too. He's only $14 over there, so definitely looking to Brandon Clark on both sides for value. That's probably it from Memphis. I'm not really seeing anything else that I'm liking here, so let's move on to the other side of this game with Minnesota. You got Karl-Anthony Towns at 9.3, Anthony Edwards at 8.2, D'Angelo Russell at 7K. Basically every playoff slate so far, it's kind of the same thing that I've said. These guys are in play. Obviously, Karl-Anthony Towns has a lot of upside. He was really disappointing last game, but kind of the entire Minnesota team was. They got blown out. Karl-Anthony Towns was in massive foul trouble last game as well. I think as long as Towns stays out of foul trouble here and the game's close, he probably plays like 40 minutes. They've been really giving him big minutes in the postseason so far, especially in Game 1 when it was a close game. He played 43 minutes, so I think we do get massive minutes from Cat. I think 9,300. Appropriate price tag for him. Probably would rather get to Ja if I could, but I definitely think Cat's in play. He should be lower owned than some of the other studs. I think Jokic will get more ownership. I think Luka may get more ownership if he plays today. Don't see a ton of people going to Towns. So Towns is obviously viable. Anthony Edwards at 8.2. No issue going there either. Anthony Edwards is a guy that does have a fairly low floor. He's kind of a scoring dependent player. If his shot's not falling, he definitely has a low floor and can disappoint, but the upside's always there if he can get hot. He was really hot in Game 1, played 40 minutes. He had 54 Draftkings points. I think 8,200 is an appropriate price tag for Edwards. I don't think he's like a glaring play today, but he's viable. And then D'Angelo Russell, he's been really disappointing so far in the series. He's had back-to-back pretty bad games. 28 DK points in Game 1, 21 DK points in Game 2. I think since he's been so bad in the first 2 games in the series, that's going to make his ownership fairly low. I'm pretty sure he was pretty low owned last slate. I don't see many people clicking on D'Angelo Russell right now. At this salary, he really doesn't ever project super well. So at 7K, I think it's a low-owned option. D'Angelo Russell does make some sense. I would expect his minutes to get back up to the mid to high 30s if this game's close. And the upside's there for D'Angelo Russell. He's been performing poorly lately. I think at some point he's gonna bounce back and have a big game. Could it be today? It definitely could. So no issue going to Russell. Even Patrick Beverley is just kind of a cheap point guard option I'm fine with. Beverley, the ceiling is not massive by any means, but he's very likely to give you 5-6x value on the salary. He's going to probably play like 32 to 34 minutes. He's about a fancy point per minute player. He does a little bit of everything when he's on the floor. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, I think he gets decent enough minutes to be worth 5,300. So even Patrick Beverley, I'm kind of interested in. I don't know if there's any core plays coming from Minnesota, but these are guys you can sprinkle in if you're playing multiple lineups. I would definitely have some exposure to all 4 of those guys that we just mentioned. And that's probably it from Minnesota. I'm not loving anything else on this team. Malik Beasley off the bench can always get hot, can get hot from 3 and have a big game, but he's just kind of a GPP option for me. Jared Vanderbilt, even though he's been starting and he's cheap, his minutes have just not been that good in the series. I don't really think he's going to play a ton of minutes in the series. It seems like they're fine playing, Vanderbilt or playing Beasley over Vanderbilt, playing McDaniels over Vanderbilt. Maybe McDaniels you could go to. His minutes have been higher. He's only 3,600. Like, if you need a punt option, there's really nothing that stands out below 4K. But if you're looking for somebody to play below 4K, like McDaniels might be your best bet. And that's really it from Minnesota. I think that's everything here. So let's move on to the next game, Dallas and Utah. So starting off with Dallas, really tough team to break down right now until we get an update on Luka. Right now, Luka is questionable. I don't really have much of a lean here. Recent player blurb, the update we got was that Luka said Wednesday that he's feeling good, but still isn't certain if he will play in Thursday's game. So we don't really know. I would, since Dallas won last game and the series is tied, like, I think they can wait a little bit to bring Luka back. If they were going into this game down 0-2, they really would have needed Luka, because at that point you just have to win game 3 pretty much. They could definitely afford to take a loss here and then bring Luka back in the next game. So I guess if I had to pick a side, I think Luka probably sits today. But that's just a guess. I mean, we just don't know. It's a wait and see right now. If Luka's in, I'm guessing he's fully healthy and not going to be limited. So if Luka's not limited, I mean, he is obviously in play as a pay-up option, especially on a 3-game slate. And I think with the uncertainty around his health right now, like, he'll probably be fairly low owned. I don't see him really getting much ownership, compared to guys like Jokic and maybe Ja. Like, I would expect Jokic and Ja to be more popular. So Luka, if he does play, could be someone worth considering in tournaments, because we know Luka can go off any night. It's just we don't know if he's fully healthy right now. If he does play, will he be limited? It's a wait and see for Dallas. Obviously, if Luka doesn't play, we can look to Jalen Brunson. We can look to Spencer Dinwiddie. Both these guys have been very solid in the 2 games without Luka in this series. Massive game from Brunson last game, 65 DraftKings points. He's played huge minutes. I think whether or not Luka plays, Brunson's still going to get big minutes, but obviously at 8K, you need Luka to be out to pay this price tag for Brunson. Same could be said for Dinwiddie. If Luka's out, I think Dinwiddie's a solid option. If Luka plays, I have no interest in Dinwiddie. So it's really a wait and see for Dallas. Luka's going to impact my interest in this team. Obviously, if he's out, we can target the guys that we've been targeting. If he plays, I'm kind of just fading Dallas if Luka plays. I really don't see much I like here if Luka is in. So that's really it from the Mavericks. And then on the other side with Utah, Donovan Mitchell is someone that I really haven't been that high on so far in the playoffs, but I think on this slate, especially with the lack of value, it's tough to spend up for guys like Jokic and Luka. Ja, I do like as a spend up, but building lineups with Ja, it does kind of make it a little tough. So you're gonna have to probably look to more of these kind of these upper mid range type plays. It's hard to go stars and scrubs on these slates. So I'm liking Donovan Mitchell at only 8,400. He's been really good the first 2 games in the series, even though it's been a kind of a tough matchup. He's been playing huge minutes, been taking a ton of shots, and so far in the playoffs, he's actually led the playoffs in usage. He's had the highest usage rate, 38.5% usage rate through these 2 games against Dallas, which is led the league so far in the playoffs. So he's been dominating usage so far through these 2 games. He's been playing huge minutes, taking a ton of shots. 8,400 is not that expensive for Mitchell right now, especially with him playing 40-plus minutes a night. So I'm definitely in on Donovan Mitchell. I kind of like him as a mid-range shooting guard option. I do like him on Yahoo as well. I think he's my favorite shooting guard over there if I can fit him. $37 does stand out as a very good play over there. Obviously, you could look to Brunson, but that's all going to depend on like if Lucas sits or not. And then like Rudy Gobert, I don't mind. Rudy Gobert's been kind of disappointing through 2 games in this series, but he's still been playing really big minutes. He hasn't really been shooting the ball much. Just took 1 shot in the game 1 and only shot the ball 5 times. So he really hasn't been getting a ton of dunks or a ton of shot attempts. He's just been getting there on rebounds. Would have to think at some point, Gobert's going to start putting the ball in the basket. He's probably going to get a double-double. Obviously, we know he's going to crash the glass. He can block shots as well. 7,600 is not that expensive for Gobert with him playing 36, 38 minutes. So I think Gobert is definitely viable. Bojan, I'm interested in too. He kind of fits the build of just like a solid mid-range play that gives you some upside and feels very safe. I mean, so far through 2 games in the postseason, 40 minutes in both games from Bojan. Usage has been solid, been playing big minutes, taking plenty of shots. Had 20 shot attempts in game 1, 15 shot attempts in game 2. He's also been contributing with peripherals. He had 5 rebounds last game. He had 5 rebounds and 4 assists the game before that. At 6K, I think Bojan's got the upside to pay off this price tag. He's not a guy that rarely is Bojan going to go out there and put up like 50, 55, but he feels very safe. He feels like a guy that's going to give you at least 30, 35 fantasy points, which at 6K is something that I'll take. His ownership, if it gets really high, then this is a guy that I think at his price tag I could see being underweight on, because at 6K I think it's unlikely that Bojan is a guy that you have to win. but in like cash games, he feels like a really good option. I think he's going to project pretty well at his salary. So I do like Bojan now, or right now, just with the amount of minutes he's playing, with his salary being where it is, kind of with how this slate is shaken out and the minimal value that we have. You're going to have to kind of go more balanced today than Stars and Scrubs. Stars and Scrubs just really doesn't work on this slate. So I'm definitely into Bojan at 6K as a mid-range small forward option. Do like him over on Yahoo too. $19, he's for sure my favorite small forward play on Yahoo today. And then the rest of the Jazz, Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley, they're playable, but neither one stand out. Neither one have been great so far through 2 games in the series. Conley is someone I was kind of high on heading into the postseason, but he just hasn't been that good. His minutes were way down last game. Don't exactly know what's going on with Conley right now. Would have to think he bounces back at some point, but a little concerning with how poorly he's played. Royce O'Neal, he's cheap and going to play big minutes, but it's Royce O'Neal. Like, he just doesn't really offer much upside. He obviously was really good last game, had 30 DraftKings points, but that's definitely that's peak ceiling for Royce O'Neal. Rarely does he put up over 30 DraftKings points. But if you're trying to go Stars and Scrubs, if you really want to pay up for Jokic, pay up for Ja, you're going to have to play someone like Royce O'Neal. So I think in those type of builds, those Stars and Scrubs build where you're trying to make it work, I think a guy like Royce O'Neal could make sense at 4K. But that's all that I'm looking to on Utah. Let's move on to the last game of the night, Golden State and Denver. So looking at Golden State today, you got Steph at the top for 8,900. Obviously, Steph, back-to-back games, has come off the bench, has played fairly limited minutes, but he was fantastic last game. The dude put up almost 50 DraftKings points in only 23 minutes off the bench. Steph has that kind of upside. He can get hot. He can just have those huge games, and obviously last game was a game where he just got really hot, so it's all going to depend on if Steph's starting or not. I think if he's still coming off the bench, he probably doesn't play enough minutes to really be viable. Could Steph come off the bench, play 25 minutes, and put up 50 fantasy points? Absolutely he could, but in order for me to go to Steph today, I'm going to need to see him starting. If he's still coming off the bench, then that makes me assume that he's limited still, which really doesn't make me have any interest in him. 8,100 for Jordan Poole, I'll probably pass on. Poole's been good in the starting lineup. He's been great, but this price tag is just too high right now for Jordan Poole with Steph playing. The more minutes that Steph starts to play, that's probably just more minutes that are coming down from Jordan Poole. That's also less usage for Jordan Poole. The more that Jordan Poole is playing with Steph, is just going to take his usage just going to keep going down. So, no interest in Jordan Poole right now with his price tag. Clay so far in this series, he's just kind of been mediocre. I feel like Clay's one of these guys that can just have a huge game any night. We know Clay is a great shooter and can get hot from three, can put up massive games at any moment, but with Steph coming back, starting to play more minutes, it's just not, Jordan Poole's playing so well too. It's just not looking great for Clay for his upside. Could this be a day where Clay gets hot? It absolutely could, but I think Clay's just kind of a GPP option. Draymond feels like a very solid option, safe play. I know he was kind of disappointing last game, but so far in this series through 2 games, kind of both these games have been blowouts. The first game was they won by 16. Last game, Golden State won by 20. Now they're going on the road to play in Denver, which is one of the tougher environments to play in on the road. I think this game will stay close, and I think we will see the starters have to play more minutes than they have so far. I think we might see Draymond get 35, 36 minutes today. When Draymond's minutes are high, he's got upside because he's a good point-per-minute player. He can stuff the stat sheet. He does a little bit of everything. He might be my favorite play from Golden State. If I had to play anyone on the Warriors today, it probably would be Draymond. Then you got Wiggins at 5,900. Again, with Steph coming back, playing more minutes, not super high on Wiggins, but Wiggins does feel like he's kind of like a Bojan type play. Wiggins is very unlikely to put up a score that you have to win, but I feel very confident that Wiggins probably gets you 25, 30 DraftKings points, which is solid at his salary. So maybe in cash games, you could play Wiggins just for the floor that he has, but the ceiling, I do question a little bit. And I don't know if I'm going to anyone off the bench for the Warriors, like Otto Porter, Gary Payton. These guys, I just don't think they're going to play enough to really be viable. So that's it for this side of the game. Let's move on to the other side with Denver. So looking at Denver today, you got Jokic at the top for 11-2. I said it at the beginning of the video, with how few value plays there are on these playoff slates, it's really tough to pay up for some of these studs. And so far in this series, Jokic has been kind of just mediocre. 54 DK points in game 1. Last game, he did get ejected, so he probably could have had a better game than he did last game had he not been ejected. But it's definitely not the best spot for Jokic with how Golden State defends. Draymond's a good defender. He's been defending Jokic a lot. They'll double team, triple team Jokic a lot. It's just, I don't know if this is a matchup where Jokic is going to really be able to dominate, but again, it's Nikola Jokic. He can put up 75, 80 fantasy points any night. I just don't think right now, I don't think Jokic is someone that I'm forcing into my lineup. I just think, going more balanced, paying up for a guy like Ja who has, similar upside. That's kind of the way I'm approaching this slate. But Jokic is obviously in play on a 3-game slate. I don't need to tell you that. Then the other Denver guys like Will Barton and Aaron Gordon. Yeah, Will Barton, he's actually been pretty decent through 2 games in this series, 40 and 30 DraftKings points. Again, he's another guy that it's really unlikely Will Barton goes out there and puts up like 45, 50 fantasy points and breaks the slate. But at 5,800, he's just a solid mid-range play. He probably gets you like 30, 35 DraftKings points. He probably plays mid to high 30s in minutes. So I'm okay with Will Barton. Aaron Gordon has not been great through 2 games in this series, but the upside is definitely there for Aaron Gordon if the Nuggets can keep this game close. If Jokic, Gordon, Barton, if all these guys play their full minutes, the upside is definitely there at 5,600 for Aaron Gordon. So I'm fine going Aaron Gordon. Probably would prefer Barton, but I think Aaron Gordon's a okay mid-range play. Not loving too much else on Denver though. I mean, I really haven't been considering anyone off the bench for Denver. Monte Morris, I mean, he's cheap. Probably plays like 30, 32 minutes. He's an okay value play, but just doesn't offer much upside. I mean, outside of Jokic, I mean, there's no one I'm loving on Denver, but I think Will Barton's playable. I think Aaron Gordon's playable. Maybe you could go to Monte Morris, but that's really it for this team, and I think that's it for this 3-game Thursday slate. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. Again, go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Go sign up for PrizePicks. Use promo code NOAH. When you do, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And you can take a look at PrizePicks board for Thursday night. You can take a look at the props they have available. Make some of your selections. Take a look, at their board and make some picks for yourself. You're just picking the over or the under. It's very simple. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks, and you can win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. So give them a try. Sign up. Use code NOAH. They'll match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. But that's all that I got for today, guys. Wish you the best of luck on this Thursday slate. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.